Hello and welcome to the Mad Leprechaun. My name is Mert Walsh. I'm at Lawshall Motorworks in Suffolk. We're about to look and closely examine my bike, the 1250 GSA. What to look out for if you decided you were going to buy one of those bikes second-hand. If that's something that interests you, please do stick around and stay tuned until after the intro. So if you're going to come along and you're going to go buy one of these bikes, what should you look out for? Who better to ask than a guy who works on them? Ethan, get your bum in here.
Thanks, Matt.
Ethan,
Appreciate
introduce yourself to all the people in YouTubery.
Yeah, I'm Ethan. I'm the technician and owner of Lawshall Motorworks. I've been working on BMs now for coming up 10 years. I've got 1250s, I've had 1200s, and it is a bike that I think everyone should go for, everyone should ride. Anyone that thinks that it's not the bike that they should have should try it first. So we're going to just go over the things that we think you can cover, you can check for, to make sure you're doing a right purchase when you are looking at one.
Yeah, so I've thought about doing this for a while. I mean, there's lots of short-term reviews, there's lots of long-term reviews, but I just thought from a technician's point of view, because he's the guy at the end of the day that fixes our bikes. So it's an unbiased opinion, because obviously I'm biased. I think it's marvellous. So you have got a short list.
Yes.
Where is it?
Yeah, we've narrowed down the common issues and things that we want to cover on a list. So we're going to go through, show you how to check them, what you can look for, and then to make sure you're making the right purchase.
So before you go to buy a bike, essentially, you should have this little list in the back of your mind. Depending on, I guess we'll go through them and say how critical each one of the different points are.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Cool. Top of the list.
Top
Are you
of the
going
list.
bottom of the list? Which way are you going?
I'd start with the easy ones, and then the ones that you can check to make sure you're doing the right thing. So the first one I'd start with is a rear shock dampening. That can be a costly repair should you not want to tackle it yourself. We work quite closely with MCT.
Yep.
They've come out with an updated kit now, so that if it does happen, you can have it replaced. Brilliant guys over there. The quality of work's fantastic. The price usually for him to rebuild the shock is around about $350. So if you do find one without any dampening in the rear shock, factor that in as a price. So,
right. Okay.
Secondly, an easy one is the water pumps on the 1250s. We'll probably get a close-up shot of where to check them, but there's a pipe that comes out of an overflow hole. Yep. If you see any kind of fluid or anything in there dropping out of that pipe, kind of not steer clear, but factor in again, a water pump's going to be probably £300, maybe more if you want to get it done at a main dealer. So that'll be another one to look out for.
Is that quite a common thing then?
It is common. The 1200s, they didn't put a little pipe on them, so you could see when it was leaking, the fluid was down the side of the engine.
Yep.
On the 1250s, they put a little pipe that drains to ground, so that if it is leaking or it's a minute leak, you don't spot it until you're either on a trip or something like that, and the engine's getting hot, and then it's going to start draining out the bottom. So I'd say factor that in, have a look at that, and that'll be a good one to cover. Cool. Going from there, exhaust flaps on these ones, you will get an error message on the dash.
I've had this.
This is a common issue we find a lot. You'll get engine check, visit your nearest specialist. A lot of the times it's because of that exhaust flap sees. Now, because it's the new Euro emissions.
So the can C's open and the can C's shut?
They only C's open. So that when they're open at rest. So you won't stifle the motor. The engine's not running with a closed flap. It's not going to blow your engine up or anything like that. But you will get a message on the dash purely because now it's an emissions-based item. The rider needs to be made aware of emission-based problems. So that's why you're getting a lot on the dash. The 1200s have the same issue.
1200, my 1200 used to hear like a when it used to open. And then eventually it just didn't work anymore.
But because that was the old Euro, you didn't have to be made aware that that was an issue. So it wasn't coming up on your dash, it just wasn't working. So
we are going to try and, depending on how well we get on today, we are going to cover a few more motorbikes. So comments in the comment section below. If you find Ethan's information invaluable, and I think it is, we're going to cover other BMW motorcycles. So what BMW motorcycle would you like us to cover next?
Perfect. So then we're kind of going down the list of items to look out for, what I'd look out for if I was buying one. So the circlips, that was a recall. they were starting to snap, you can lose a rear foot peg.
Which is only a tiny little thing.
It's only a small thing, but if you're riding out with a pillion, you lose a foot peg,
yep.
It's kind of game over for your day, really. You got to turn around and go home. That's an easy check. Pivot bearings, again, if you were buying one.
Pivot bearings?
Yeah, so okay. I'd go with someone that you can touch where you're trying to check the bearings as well. So you can put your finger on the bearings. We'll do a close-up of that as well.
Yep.
Rock the wheel and you'll be able to feel a slight bit of play in there.
Yep.
It's not usually excessive, but it is something just to look out for.
Okay.
Chain tensioners, common on the 1250s. They have brought out an updated chain tensioner.
So this is cam chains?
Cam chain tensioner,
okay.
Yeah. So if you're sat on the bike, put your head either to the left, to the right, either side, you might hear a kind of quite a definitive tippy tap knocky kind of noise.
Yep.
It's not an issue, it's just that tension has lost tension over time.
Essentially a very noisy engine, the boxer engine.
Yes.
But what I have found over years of having R80 stroke 7, 1100, 1200, 1250, you get used to the noises, and then when you hear the new noise, you know that new noise is wrong.
Yes, yeah. No, it makes it really obvious then, doesn't it? Especially when you've had boxes like yourself. It's totally. You know then, don't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then going down the list, drive shafts, they're covered now under BMW warranty of 36k. So if you're finding one high mileage and the drive shaft and you spin the rear wheel, you can hear a bit of noise from the UJ. They can check them now. They can check the bearings, the quality of them, and then if you do reach 36,000 miles, they will replace them under warranty for you as well.
Right.
So you've got a little bit of cover there. On the same note with the drive shaft, I'd look for the recall being carried out. That'll be like a little bung. Yeah. And then you just check that, make sure it's there, and you know the drive shaft's been checked by a specialist, and you can kind of keep going with confidence on the bike then.
Yeah.
Going from there, it'll be little things. So Puig rear huggers, they're good.
Yeah, no, I didn't know this. So if you have found, oh yeah, we know that, this is something really listen to.
Yeah.
This was like, wow.
So the only thing that's stopping, well, kind of keeping your rear wheel from folding into the bike is something called a paralever arm. That's held in with one bolt. What a lot of people tend to do is replace that rear bolt when they're doing a hugger, which is a Puig hugger you tend to find.
So instead of using the OEM bolt, they use a
Chinese bolt or a bolt that's not quite up to the spec. And we've seen them, people are on trips, they're luggaged up, they've got a pillion on, they're on it. All of that weight on that rear wheel is on that one bolt, and they're not up to the spec of it. And I have seen them fold in half. The rear wheel goes up into the bike, and it squats itself, and that can be done at any speed. So if it was me, I'd remove that straight away. We don't run them on our bikes. The best one we find are mudslings. They're cable tied to the frame, easy fit, easy removal, and you can swap them to any 1200, 1250. So you get a little bit of choice there as well. Yeah. So those are the kind of ones I'd look out for. Simple checks that you can do. Brakes, tyres, discs. You can usually tell how a bike's been looked after by the condition of the calipers inside. Shine a light up in there. If it's packed full of dirt, it's had a recent quick wash for sale, it's not been maintained very well. Yeah. So I'd just look out for those kind of common signs of this is constantly maintained, it's constantly looked after. If you're spotting signs where it's not, keep looking over the bike and just make sure.
And there is lots of them out there. There is lots and lots of 1250s out there. So if I found it, like you just said, find another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, find another one. There's loads of them out there.
Loads of them in good spec. Like yourself, you've got the billet pack, you've got the front cover. Yeah. You can find them in a good spec. I haven't got the mirrors
at the moment.
We'll get you them mirrors. I keep forgetting about them mirrors. We'll get you them mirrors.
Okay.
But yeah, no. So just kind of look out for the obvious things, oil levels, coolant levels. Yep. They can all be checked. So we're going to go through Mert's bike now. So we've got it on the ramp, so it's going to be a little bit easier for us to check it. But obviously you can do all of these checks on the ground when you are looking at a bike that's either privately for sale or for sale in a dealer. So what we're going to do is start front to back. Going to go over all the things that we think you should be checking, or things that you think are going to be worth knowing when you get there. So we'll start at the front and kind of check brakes and wheels. So my first check, kind of just turn the wheel to the side, grab the wheel, turn it, give it another spin. You can kind of just check to make sure there's no kind of play in them bearings. Give it a good spin, put your hands on the bottom of the forks here. You'll be able to feel if there's any rumbling or anything like that coming through them bearings. Merts are nice and good. Again, check the discs. These are meant to float, so they should have a little bit of play in these. That allows any grit or dirt, so the disc is still running true within the calipers. Check the brakes, check the caliper condition inside. Merts are all good, albeit a little bit dirty, but we'll allow him. He's ridden here in the rain, so that's not a problem at all. I'd work along the bottom of the right side, check your oil level, check your rocker cover gaskets. They have a tendency sometimes, if they're not seated correctly, or if you've got the OEM rocker covers like we have on this one, they can tend to leak, so just keep an eye out for those. Then going further back, brake fluids in here, make sure that's on max, or at least relevant to the rear brake pad condition. So if the pads are low and the brake fluid's low, you know that it's been serviced, but the pads have run low in that time. Then just check the condition of it, give it a good spin, push on the brake, and make sure it's all
John,
good.
While you're on the back,
Yeah.
I do actually see a lot of people who buy not so much 1250s, but 1250s, 1150s, and they run the bike in their workshop, put it into gear.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
No, because it makes a horrible noise.
Full extension on that with the drive shaft in that angle, it's not good for the UJs. So I'd say if you're going to run it, leave it in neutral. Don't try and drive it all through the gears all the way up.
Yeah,
so,
but
yeah.
I mean, it makes a horrific noise. The amount of people that
chattering.
don't know, who go, "Oh, it's my first ever 1250, and I've done this." Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. No, that's one to avoid. That just keep the condition. It's too far of an extension where it should be running. That's not optimal. That's not where they were designed to run. As soon as you put some weight on the bike, that's where the drive shaft wants to be and running that
There you
condition.
go.
So past that, this is the pivot bearing play. So this is your pivot bearing down here. So there'll be a needle roller in this side. There'll be a ball bearing in the other side.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. So what you need to do is you need to get your friend to go around the other side, put his finger on this rim here, and then while you rock the rear wheel, you'll be able to tell if there's any. So you have got a little, it's minute, but just enough. So if you put your finger on there, Matt.
So just on here.
Bring it on the inside here. See, feel that rim? That little that's it.
Oh yeah.
So you can feel that little bit of bearing
Oh yeah,
play.
I've got a bit of play.
It's not excessive, but it is there. So I'd say it's not going to get any better, but we can replace that. It's not a problem at all. So that's just one to check for.
We found something.
We found something on Mertz.
Cool.
Again, rear pads. Mertz are all good. You've probably got about 30-40% left on there. So
Go on, say what we're going to say about the rear wheel.
Tyres, we tend to find they last 6k. They'll last longer if you use the edges. So Mertz running very low in the middle there, but it's got plenty of meat on the sides. So
He did a 3,000-mile motorcycle.
he needs to start leaning there a bit more. Coming this side, so this is where you can do your water pump check. So on the early ones, you'll have a hole where they come out here.
Okay.
So you see that little pipe. This pipe that then runs down all the way back, it should go under the side stand pin. So just check that there's no kind of fluid sat at the bottom of that, because that will suggest that the seal, the relief seal in the front of the pump has failed and it's just pushing out the side there. So and then just tuck that back, make sure it's not touching the exhaust, and you're all good there.
Cool.
Coming forward, obviously filter, you can usually tell if they've been recently serviced by the filter. So if they're saying it has, check that. You should be able to tell just by how clean that is. And then we're coming forward, again, brakes and everything we've been over, check the spoke tension. The early 1200s had a couple ones where they had spokes coming loose. A lot of them have been recalled now, but you don't want to get one that's a possible miss that case. So
easy way to tell that: screwdriver, spin the wheel.
That's it. Yeah, grab yourself a little driver or a little pick. That on the repair fiche it genuinely says it should make a ting, not a donk. So if that went donk, donk, that's where you know that they're getting loose. So yeah, keep that in mind. Spin the wheels, check that they're all straight and true as well. You shouldn't have any issues there. They're pretty good wheels in terms of longevity, strength. The gold ones did tend to suffer a little bit more with paint finish. So you can just see where Mertz has started to go. The black ones weren't as bad, but it's just something to look out for. Yeah. So when it comes to dampening, I'd check them running, because then you know everything's in working order. And what you don't want to see, so if you watch the back of the bike, it's not returning straight to stop. So Mertz got dampening in his. We'll show you one that you should look out for where they could not have dampening on this one here.
And this is actually Ethan's own bike.
So this is my trap bike. Unfortunately, the shop's just failed on this one. So if you watch the rear shot as I run it. So this one has just, we've been running this one on track for a few days now, but the rear shock's just started to fail. So you can see as I push down, it's returning to stop quicker than it should.
Yep.
And you'll notice that's where the dampening's gone. So that's where either Darren at MCT will come in, or I've heard great things from the guys over at T-Tech. They seem to be doing really well as well. And they do have an updated kit, so you don't have that issue again. So another one just to look out for as well.
Cool. So it's not the end of the world, is it?
There's not a lot that goes wrong with them. They're good. They're really good bikes. They have a couple of things that plague them all, but we've kind of listed them today you can look out for. The ones that you can't look out for and they will fail, sometimes you can have a throttle grip. So if your bike will start and run and idle, but will go into limp mode and it'll only pick up revs when you're at max throttle. That means there's two control lines in here. One of them's not confirming the other one, which is kind of what you used to have on the old cars where you'd have a return cable and a drive cable.
Okay.
So that's kind of what they're doing on this. You've got two confirmation lines. They want to see the same value from both. And if they don't, that's when they go into limp mode.
Right.
Another thing is just check these switch gears. The Whizzy wheel runs through this switch, then into the loom. Sometimes the connections can get a little bit kind of furred up and stuff like that. So it's worth just checking all of that works on the dash before you buy it.
Yeah.
So
cool. Anything that was like on your list that you would be alarmed by?
Alarmed by?
Like you said, one thing you said was the cleaning issue and kind of walk away and possibly, but other than that, there's nothing really.
No, when you're looking at these kind of bikes, they're an ilk of bike people look after. That you don't buy a GS and you run it into the ground. It's not that kind of bike where you know you see them a lot on the 125 scooters. They're kind of more of a commuting tool. They're to get you to work, so it's more like a car for some people. Whereas these, it's a hobby focused thing. You kind of get into these should you want to do a trip, should you want to do some commuting on a bike like this. When you spend this kind of money or you're in that kind of category, they tend to be looked after, so you're doing quite well there. Servicing.
Now, I did mention to you earlier, because there is a few myths out there on social media about servicing of the 1250 and other BMWs, but we're covering the 1250 today.
Yeah.
So your initial services and then the big services.
Yeah.
People talk that some services are thousands of pounds.
Yeah, no, there's no service we do on a Boxer engine that is over £500. So for a full valve check, final drive, spark plugs, air filter, brake fluid, full cover of all the lights and levels and everything, we do that for 403. And then if they need adjusting, we keep the shims on site as well. So in terms of servicing, when you get into the RR realm, 8XR, that kind of thing, where you've got to remove a lot of panels to get to it, to the rocker cover, that's where your price starts going up. But with these, they've designed them so well that you can get to that rocker cover, you're probably 5-6 bolts away from having it off, and then you're doing your valve check there. So we only charge for time. We know we can get them done quite quick, so that's where we're starting to save people money. It's kind of the expertise we're bringing to the table. Cool. So we can offer full servicing on all the BMW range essentially.
Brilliant. Right, well, hopefully you found some of that entertaining and informative. Thanks ever so much for your time.
No, thank you for bringing her in.
If you're in Suffolk, Essex, or kind of in the umbrons of
Lawshall Motorworks,
come and see Ethan. He's the guy to sort you out for anything BMW related. Catch you in another video.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
If you have liked this video, please leave a thumbs up. If you haven't liked this video for any particular reason whatsoever, please feel free to leave a thumbs down. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ding dong the notification bell if you'd be so kind. And then hopefully, all being well, we shall see you in another one. Until next time, people, take care of yourself. Bye-bye for now.